Welcome to Mangastorian's Complete Story Series. Today we'll be covering Berserk Chapter 83 and then moving forward at the original storyline. Now, all alterations to the panel text and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. But before we move forward, I do want to let you know one thing. Chapter 83 was originally written by the creator, but he decided that he didn't want the things that were revealed in Chapter 83 to be revealed at that point in the storyline. In all subsequent releases of the Berserk manga, he had it removed. Due to your request, we will be doing Chapter 83, but take it for a grain of salt. Now, Chapter 83 takes place inside of the cocoon, when Griffith is in there, looking at a being in front of him, a being that he will quickly know as God. Griffith begins to see something, and he asks it, "What are you?" From the giant heart, a voice says that it is the desired God. It is the idea of evil. Griffith then asks if he is God, and the voice tells him that he is seeing part of him. Everything around them is an ocean of feelings, things within human souls where the common consciousness transcends individuality. These collective consciousnesses is a dark ocean, and from those, he was born of that. The darkness that dwells in every human heart, the idea of evil. Griffith then states that if what it's stating is true, then that would mean that man created God. But is this what mankind wanted? This terrifying thing? The voice says, "This is hell," or some would call it that. This is just the surface of multiple layers of the whole consciousness. However, this place is all human. Griffith then looks around stating that this is all inside of him. But why is it that the humans gave birth to this and called it God? The voice then speaks again, stating that the humans desire reasons. Something to blame their pain on, their sadness, their life or death. The humans needed something to blame for their problems, and thus, a god to blame was born. But it is he who controls destiny. It is he who weaves every man's fortune. Griffith stops and thinks about that for a moment, and then he asks if that's the case, he would have been the one who made this happen, who arranged for all of this to be this way. The voice then informs him that everything that has been done is a carefully made plan. By manipulating history, a lineage was created to make him the man that he is today. All of those accounts were what brought him here. Griffith shouts, "Then what is he supposed to do? What is it that God wants from him?" And the voice says, "Be as you will." He dwells deep within his heart as a part of him, just as he is a part of him. Whatever desires he may wish, whatever they may bring, pain or salvation to mankind, simply do as you wish. As the rest of Griffith's body begins to take form, he says if that is so, he wants wings. The souls of those lost begin to swirl around him, covering Griffith, and the stars begin to change him. The voice then says to take with him the power of the feelings of this inner world and change the physical body into a shape suitable for the task at hand. Basically, what that chapter was revealing is that mankind created God, and God in turn is making more demons. But, like I said, the creator did not want this revealed until later in the story, so take that for what you want. Now let's move forward with where we were in the story. When the demons were gathering around Casca's body, and the only thing that Guts could do is watch as they were holding him back. Up atop the fist, the God Hand watches their new demon king is being born, and they shall name him as the Wings of Darkness, Femto. Guts watches as Griffith's body begins to rise from its cocoon in its new form. He jumps into the air and he flies down, landing before Guts, and he just looks at him. Guts asks if it's really him, but Griffith doesn't respond. While staring into Guts' eyes, he grabs a hold of his arm, and Casca's body is brought to him. More tendrils appear and they begin to wrap around her legs, and then they begin to pull them apart. Guts is watching, helpless to do anything, and Griffith continues to stare at him in the eyes. Griffith's hands continue to wander until they stop between Casca's thighs. Guts is forced to watch as Casca's body is then suspended and spread apart, all of the demons gathering around as Griffith enters into her. Her eyes begin to open as she starts to make out with Griffith's face, and he kisses her. Guts begins to hack away at the demons holding him, and as he goes on, his sword begins to break. Taking the broken blade, he starts to stab it into his own arm, trying to free himself. But while Guts stabs into his arm, Casca suddenly realizes what is actually happening. Guts takes his severed arm away from the demon, and he screams out for Griffith. He charges forward, but several arms reach out and pin him to the ground just before Griffith. The demons force Guts to watch as Griffith continues to have his way with Casca. She begins to call out no, and all Guts can do is struggle. Then atop of the tower, Slain watches, stating how beautiful all of this is. The love, hate, pain, all of this is so human. All of this is so demonic. Griffith continues to stare into Guts' eyes as he violently defiles Casca, and Guts is made to watch, with Casca telling him to look away, and Griffith continuing. As blood begins to drop down onto Guts' eyes, Griffith releases Casca and lets her fall to the ground. With every fiber in his body, Guts screams as the demons push its claws into his eye. Soon up above, the sky begins to part, and everyone looks up, and through the broken sky, the Skull Knight appears, and he swings at the void. The portal opens up above his head, and the Skull Knight's sword passes through, and another portal opens as the sword is thrust back towards him. After blocking the attack with his shield, the Skull Knight rides down the arm, fighting through the demons that try to stomp him. Limbs from the demons begin to fall from the sky as the Skull Knight rides, making his way towards Griffith. And as he gets there, Griffith looks up and holds out his hand. Just as he closes it, it's as if he grabbed onto one of his surroundings and crushed them all together. Griffith stares at the empty hole that he just created, and the Skull Knight lands before him. The Skull Knight swoops in, grabbing both Guts and Casca, and then heads off back towards the sky. Griffith holds out his arm, trying to crush them before they can leave, but it's too late. Once the Skull Knight takes Guts and Casca away, Ubix says that this has all been so amazing. It is beyond their expectations. The Void then tells everyone that this is one of the many paths that fate has prepared. Now the flow has begun, and the fifth angel is born. The time of darkness shall visit them. Soon the people will know this as the Age of Darkness. Meanwhile, outside the storms, Zod picks up his own severed arm and reattaches it. All the while, Rickard is watching on. Moments later, he watches as Zod is defeated by the Skull Knight. No sooner than he can recall that, the Skull Knight flies down towards him. Rickard looks up and sees the bodies of Guts and Casca. The Skull Knight notices the pouch of medicine and says that it seems that these two are not meant to die. He then hands the bodies over to Rickard, telling him that there is no time, that he needs to tend to their wounds. Rickard begins to panic, asking how, and then he remembers the medicine that the travelers gave him. And then Zod towers over the Skull Knight. Rickard begins to panic even more. The Skull Knight tells him not to be bothered by this, go ahead and continue taking care of them. Zod tells the Skull Knight that he hopes he doesn't think their fight is over. And the Skull Knight says that he too is immortal. The Skull Knight looks down and then sees Guts. He starts to laugh, stating how interesting it is that this man survived the eclipse. So alright, they will stop here to honor that man's amazing luck. He then stops, stating, actually, we should call it bad luck. He then tells the Skull Knight not to forget, they're not finished here. The Skull Knight then picks Guts and Casca back up, and Rickard asks what's going on. Where are the others? And the Skull Knight tells him that there are only two left of the band of Hawks. He then picks up Rickard and soon begins to ride off. Zod watches, telling himself that things are going to become more interesting for a man to survive the eclipse. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to get your Friday dose of Berserk, and I will see you next time right here, or you can follow us on Twitter at Mangastorian.